first Mishnah, fifth pair. So it says, Ba'asra Maimros Nivra Ha'olam. With five statements, with 10 statements, the world was created. Umat Hamad Loma, what does this come to teach us? V'halo, behold, b'maimer echad yachol lechabriot. Wouldn't it have been possible for God to just create the world with one statement? Just say, let there be a world. Done. Alright? Ela, lifora min harashayim. In order to extract from the Rashayim, from evil people, ma'abdin eta olam she'nivra ba'asra Maimros, in order to extract from the evil people who've destroyed a world that was created with 10 utterances, u'latain schar tov l'tzadikim, and to give a good schar, a good reward, she'mekamim eta olam she'nivra ba'asra Maimros, in order to give a good reward to the tzadikim who build a world that was created with 10 Maimros. So you have to start with ba'asra Maimros nivra ha'olam. So the first idea is this word nivra. What's nivra? Right, it comes from the word bara. Right, so we've talked before that there's two different words that can be used in creation. So one is yatzar, which is to form, and the other is bara, which is to create. And the Greek language word is creation ex nihilo. And the world was created, the universe was created from nothing. Right, just to back up, we believe in a concept of creator, sustainer, and supervisor. Right, before you say the Shema, you say El Melech Ne'eman. Right, when you say the word Amen, that is mnemonic. Right. It's right, Eo Melech Ne'eman, Amen. It's creator, sustainer, supervisor. So creator is God designed. So when it says God looked into the Torah to create the universe, that God designed the universe. At the first is God sat down and said, what are the moral and philosophical and ethical concepts and principles that I want that make a universe? And we talked about separating. Separating is a physical manifestation of this ethical or moral principle. The principles exist first. The concepts, right? God creates a set of concepts of what a universe should be. That's the initial design. That's Borei. That's the creation, right? And he, from that, takes and brings a universe into existence. The second is this idea of sustainer, is that the easy way I always thought to picture is you picture, a TV screen, right? Or a movie. If you're going to watch a movie, an old-fashioned film projection movie, I mean, how does it work? If you watch a person in a movie move their hand, do they actually move their hand? There's no movement. What happens is you flash up an image that's here, and then an image that's here, and then 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 here. And if you run it fast enough, faster than 17 frames a second, you get visible apparent movement. But if at any instant, if you kick the light off in the projector, you're done. Right? That there's no continuity from instant to instant. So we believe that our universe is the same, that there is no continuity from instant to instant. What's interesting, in the 1960s, mathematicians and physicists, Wheeler and DeWitt, Wheeler is who the science hall at UC Berkeley is named after. So they tried to reconcile quantum mechanics, basically Einstein's math with Newton's math, because the two don't work. The physics that work at large scale doesn't work at small scale. So there's various approaches. There's superstring theory, which basically fits, says that there's 10 sphirot, right? Superstring theory says, how's the universe work? You have 10 sphirot. You have 3 dimensions that are physical, 1 that's super physical, and 6 that are tightly wound back on themselves. The same way that we say there's 3 sphirot, 1 that's super physical, and 6, right? So you can take superstring theory, which is the sphirot model, or Wheeler-DeWitt, which says that time doesn't actually exist. Right, that the universe exists as an infinite number of time slices that are stacked up on each other that all exist simultaneously, and that somehow consciousness flows from one slice to the other, right? And that if you happen to have a perspective outside of time, past, future, present would all look the same to you. All those slices look identical. They all exist simultaneously, so to speak. There's no such thing as time. So either go with Penrosian superstring theory and you've got the Kabbalistic approach, or you go with Wheeler-DeWitt and you got the more mathematical approach, but they both fit into our concept of cosmology. But this idea is that sustainer means that the universe doesn't just have a flow from instant to instant. If God turned off the cathode ray tube, the universe would cease to exist. Right? The creator is he designed it. Sustainer means instant by instant he recreates it to keep it in process. And the last is supervisor, is Ne'eman, that he's trustworthy. And what that means is that as long as he's got to recreate you this instant anyways, he might as well recreate you in a way that's meaningful to you. Right? That he looks at you and says, what do you need right now? I mean, he's got to paint every leaf on every tree at every instant. He might as well paint it in a meaningful way. Right? He's got a big enough CPU to pay attention to, what's the proper way? How do I react to the joystick? Right? The joystick says up, I will recreate the universe up. Right? So that's our model of creation. So that first creation, the first act of creation, it says, Ba'asra Maimros Nivra Ha'olam. Right, so the first thing I want to start with is this idea that it's Maimros. Why does God create the world with speech? It's an interesting concept, create the world with a shovel. Create the world with action. You can say that the universe was created with speech. That speech is the will made manifest. Right? I can think something. Right? Speech is ultimately, so it's interesting, we talked before about speech, thought, speech, and action. Right? Thought is you and your will, it's between you. Right? Action is between you and people, and speech is between you and God. But speech is, that's what we see many things in halacha, that speech changes the nature of how you relate to God. But Maimros, speech is will made manifest. Is that I decide something, and if I speak it, I can bring it into the world through speech. As I said, Harei Amikadesh Ali, I can change the holiness, sanctification status of a person through speech. Right? I can take, make a shavu about something. I can make something. I can pronounce a harem on something. I can, right? There's many places, right? You can make you change the nature. Kinyan requires an actual action. There's places that speech becomes real. That this universe is God's will made manifest. That in some ways, you like the movie Matrix, right? So it's a little bit crazy because it's the funky machine robots doing it, but the concept that this whole universe in some ways is an idea or will, made real inside your mind. Right? In some way, the universe is that this whole universe that exists. It's God thought, God conceived, and God made the world real by making His direct thought become reality. He created it through Maimros. He spoke it. Let there be light, and that brought light into existence. It wasn't, light and match. It's just its will. His will became light. But Asra, as you see, if you look at it, that it's through a process. It's not just through one thing. That you actually see, you see an evolutionary process through creation, right? First you start with dirt, rock, water, and the water separates, and the land comes, and the plant comes, and this kind of, and you see this building up in creation. That it's not a one-shot deal, right? That there's an evolutionary process in a stepways process in the creation of the universe. That it's not a one-shot, bulletproof, right, all or nothing kind of thing. We'll go through why we talked about 10 last time. The Asra Maimros Nivra, so it's that he created through this path of speech. Right? That's let the world come into existence. And he could have created with one. He could have created the world where it's an all or nothing. Either it exists or it doesn't. Either you're good or you're bad. Either it's real or it's not. Either it's broken or it's fixed. But he created this layered approach to creating the world. That means if you're the kind of person who's destroying, you're not just destroying a one-off little thing. You're destroying something that is a complicated, involved, your kid gets mad when you throw away, it's like, I worked so hard on that project, right? That he wants you to see the value that's here, and that he's created over this, complicated, involved, invested process. And the same thing for the flip side. That if you're a person who's a builder, what you've built, this thing is precious, this thing that's complicated, that's complex, that's layered, and it's texture. Right? But it says that one of the key things to pick up is that creation wasn't a one-shot deal. It wasn't just God said, I wish I had a universe. There's a universe. It's conceived, it's spoken, and it's created. So that's the